Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Oakes with the smartsocial.com podcast. And no matter where you're listening or watching us here today, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere else, today is a very serious topic. Today is a topic that several years ago, I'm going to be the first to admit that I thought it was a topic that wasn't in my backyard. I thought this is something people talk about, but it won't happen to us. It won't happen to me. And it's something that's far, far away. Well, boy, was I wrong. And I'm going to be the first to admit that because it is something that is tragic, that is scary. And I have an absolute expert here today. Please tag a friend below. Share this with a friend. Today, we're talking about sex trafficking. Today, we're talking about something very serious. I have an absolute expert here live from Connecticut. I have Erin Williamson. She's the U.S. Programs Director for an organization called Love 146. She's going to tell us all about her organization and what she does. Erin, I want to welcome you to today's interview. And also, I want to ask, what does your organization do?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Love 146 is an anti-trafficking agency. We are international. We have programs overseas as well as here in the United States. In the United States, we have two programs. We have our prevention and education program. It's called Not a Number, and it's implemented in schools, in group homes, in juvenile detention facilities. And we also have our survivor care program based here in Connecticut, where we work with actual survivors, children who have experienced trafficking, helping them to reintegrate into their school system, regain control of their lives, address the trauma that they've experienced.
Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you, first of all, for your work. So just everybody who's listening to this right now, Smart Social is here to keep your kids safe on social media so they can someday shine online, to get that career, that college, and everything else. We see these digital tools, and for everybody listening right now, I'm holding up my iPhone. We see this as vehicles. It's hard to avoid getting on the road and driving someday, so we need to introduce these vehicles in a balanced and safe approach. Today is all about safety, but we do have a dream that someday your child uses these devices to get where they need to go, to get that career, that internship, that college, and everything else. And so we're going to show them in a balanced approach how to do that. And to do that at smartsocial.com, I want to let everybody know that if you click the link below, there is a free ultimate guide. This is what we're in the business of doing. There's a free ultimate guide that I want to share with everybody. That's pretty awesome. Ultimate guide to child sex trafficking, online enticement, and sextortion. It's got all kinds of information and resources that you can share with others. I'm also embedding this video and this interview with Erin in this page. So if you're wondering or you want to share with somebody, your child could get straight A's. It doesn't matter. This can be something that can affect your family. All right. So first of all, let's dive on into it. Erin, I'm going to ask you first question. How can traffickers or predators groom children online, specifically on social networks?
Yeah, so, I think there's a number of ways traffickers do it. The first thing that they need to do is make that connection, right? And so a lot of the default settings for our social media apps, the privacy settings are actually pretty wide open. And so, the first thing we need to think about is the fact that we allow so many people to connect with our children online. And so once they have that connection, and initially, a lot of children accept friend requests or accept requests to connect because they're trying to accumulate those connections. They're trying to appear as if they have it together socially. That's especially true for our adolescents. So once they have that connection, the predator is just going to try to reach out and make that connection, whether it's a connection that they play soccer, similar to your child, or whether it's a connection that, they too after school used to come home to an empty house. Wherever they can make that connection, that is where they're first going to start.
Okay, so just to reiterate that, a lot of parents are thinking right now, they're listening to this interview and they're thinking, and this is a human nature thing, do I need to worry about this now, right? And a lot of parents are probably thinking, well, my kids aren't online in those creepy, weird parts of the web where the hooded person, right? We all think of a hacker. They wear a hoodie and there's weird lights and they're in a dark room in a forum, right? Is that where predators hang out? Do they hang out in weird little forums?
No, predators actually will go wherever the children are. That's how they decide where to go. So when Fortnite became popular, we saw a huge influx of predators playing Fortnite. When Facebook was popular, a huge influx of predators on Facebook. The same with Kick. Really, whatever social media app is popular at that moment is where the predators are going to go.
Such a great answer. I couldn't have said it better myself. You knocked it out of the park. Okay, so who's at risk?
Really, everyone's at risk. I mean, and again, that's what predators do. Predators figure out where is the vulnerability with this specific child. And so for some children, that's going to be that they don't have their basic resources met. They don't have food in the house. They don't have a loving relationship with their parents. For other people, it's going to be that they're really worried that they're not going to get straight A's, and they feel a lot of pressure to be perfect and to perform because there's so much pressure in their school and families. So the predator's going to just find out whatever that weakness is. And I mean, if you think about what it was like when you were an adolescent, that is a time in even young adolescence, it's a time where you're trying to figure out who you are. It's a time where you feel like everybody is looking at you, like you're the only one that doesn't fit in, like you're the oddball out. For a lot of us, we felt that way. That is what predators look to exploit, that natural feeling of development in adolescence.
Absolutely. You hinted on it too. We'll probably talk a little bit in just two questions. What can parents do? But you really hinted on if they're not close to their parents in a way, if there's not a healthy, rich dialogue. So we talked a little bit about who's at risk, and you said everyone, because we all at a young adolescent time, even we don't fit in, right? There's always something going on up here and in here. What can parents do to better protect their kids, both online, in life, or anywhere else from this type of thing?
Yeah, and that's a really good question, because I think when parents hear about online exploitation, their first instinct is, I'm never going to let my child online, right? Or I'm going to scare them as if it's a boogeyman. And I totally understand that that is what the instinct is. But the reality is, and you mentioned it, our kids have to go online for a lot of things. First of all, it's natural to want to connect. It's natural to want to connect in the places that your friends are connecting, and a lot of times that's online. Also, I mean, look at what's happening now with distance learning. Our kids have to go online just to get their basic education right now. And so I think one of the things that we can do is we can acknowledge that, normalize that, and then also talk to them about how there's a way to stay safe online and a way not to. And really, I think the emphasis is opening up the dialogue and conversation. You don't have to know about every app. You don't have to know about every feature. You can also be the person asking questions of your kids. Tell me about that app. I haven't heard about it. Let's go look at it. Show it to me. Let them be the instructor and ask them questions to help them understand, how do you change your privacy settings? Who do you connect with on here? Let them teach you as well.
I love that. We call that making your kids the expert, right? And just a side note for parents who are listening to this, watching this right now, one of my best friends, he is a high-powered lawyer and a real estate developer. He's got it all, right? And he was saying to me the other day or a while ago, Josh, you don't understand. I don't have time for Fortnite or whatever. And he was talking about his son, and I had to talk with him, right? He's one of my best friends. And I said, hey, just do something. Prove me wrong. Go sit down with your child and play Fortnite, or ask him, how does it work? And he goes, why? Why would I want to do that? I'm not into that. I said, that's exactly the problem, because you're not into what your kids are interested into, and other people will be. And that's a hole. That is what we call exposure in his legal field, legal terminology. But he went and did it, called me the next day and said, you have no idea how much he lightened up, how my child brightened. And all of a sudden, that one silly topic of Fortnite became now something they can do together, right? And we call that putting your kid first and putting your interest in the app second. It doesn't matter what you think, parents. This is a tough love discussion right now. Put that app first. Okay. Now, tell me how Love 146 can help survivors all over the world, really, and works to prevent trafficking from happening. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys do so that we can glean some tips.
Yeah, so Our Not a Number curriculum is our prevention education curriculum. If you go on our website, love146.org, and click the Not a Number button, there's actually a lot of materials on there for parents about internet safety, about online safety. So that's a really wonderful resource. We are trying to get that into as many schools, as many placements as possible. I think, you know, our vision is for a world without trafficking. And while we fully believe in supporting survivors, and we do have a survivor care program, we're not going to realize our vision unless we start addressing prevention. And so we really, really are dedicated and believe firmly in prevention. And I think part of that is also teaching children at a very young age, what are healthy relationships? What are healthy relationships with your friends, with partners, even with adults in your life, like coaches and others you might come in contact with. I think really helping them understand what healthy relationships are, and also when being a good friend means going to an adult and sharing what somebody has asked you to keep as a secret.
That's terrific. So we're on your Not a Number page on your site. What are professionals saying about Not a Number? This is great. You've got video testimonials here. This is amazing. Okay. And then, so Not a Number is the prevention. And then our work, is that the survivor care section?
Yep. So survivor care, we have a U.S. survivor care program. Those services are really in Connecticut, but we're trying, as well as we have services in the Philippines and the U.K. In Connecticut, one of the things that we're really trying to do is trying to work with as many youth as possible. So we provide both information and safety planning to, you know, over 100 kids a year who are suspected and confirmed survivors. And then for those youth who need additional services, they join our long-term services program, where we become very, very closely connected with them, with their family, helping to re-engage them in school. A number of our youth maybe are attending school at the time we connect with them, but not attending regularly. And we've had a lot of success reconnecting them back into school. We've seen a number of graduations. A number of our youth have gone on to post-secondary school. We actually have an employment and education program to support post-secondary education. We really, really believe that for a lot of these children, hearing what they can be and gaining that supporting adult person in their life that can help guide them through some of these systems and help them navigate adolescence, which is a hard time, as you said, for everybody. It can make a world of difference for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely wonderful. You guys are incredible. I'm so thankful that you're on here today. Just to make it even more resourceful, everybody watching right now, we have a page called the App Reviews page, 100% free. These are smartsocial.com app reviews. The app zones help parents identify good and bad apps. Remember, predators on every one of these apps. This is why we love 146, right? And this is amazing. And we love what you guys are doing, but know the difference between green zone, gray zone, red zone apps and dangerous social media challenges. The red zone apps is really where we believe a lot of this anonymous predator and other information happens. So go make yourself an expert. Go to the top of the page if you want to, and you can learn more about the app reviews up there as well. This has been really terrific. Erin, I really want to thank you for spending time with us here today and giving us, I want to give you last word. What do you tell the parents who might live in a city where they haven't heard much about this and they're like, I don't know. What would you tell them? What would you share with them as to why they need to start making this a part of the vocabulary and talk to their kids and strengthen the relationship with their children?
So I've been doing this work for about 20 years. When I started, a lot of this work, a lot of the exploitation was happening out in the streets, and it was visible. And it's no longer that way. A lot of the exploitation is happening online, and we're seeing a lot of kids who never leave their own bedroom who are being exploited on the internet. So this can be happening in your house. Just because you don't see it out in the street, just because you don't live in, an urban area where there's a lot of exploitation happening, does not mean that your child sitting alone with their computer or their phone in their bedroom is not being exploited.
I want to thank you, Erin, for joining us here today. It's an honor to have you, and your work is great. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
The rest of you who are listening or learning online, please rate, subscribe, and review this. Share this podcast with somebody you think would be helpful. Could be an educator, could be a superintendent, or just a parent who wants to be more involved. They can click the links below to learn more about Erin's organization and how they can help that organization. They can also share our Smart Social resources, use some of our free guides. I've got free webinars every single week that teach you the safety tips on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, iPhones, and everything else. We've got one feature on Snapchat that when you turn it off, it makes it harder for a predator to track you. It's the number one tip you need to know about Snapchat. We've got tips on TikTok that your kids will want to turn on, but that will make it easier for predators to find them. And so I show you how to turn it on and how, most importantly, how to explain to children why we need to turn these off so they don't go in and turn them back on. You see, we want to work with your kids, not against them. And that's what we at smartsocial.com and Erin's organization as well wants to do, is to strengthen that dialogue, that relationship, that understanding, and show the kids why instead of just telling them, don't do this. When they understand the why and we treat them like little adults, then we find with our data, our research, the experts, the psychologists, the therapists, and the counselors that work to support us, we feel that it's going to be a little bit better off for the kids in the long run. I want to thank everybody for joining us here today, and a big shout out to Erin and her organization for all of this great work. I'm Josh with smartsocial.com. Click the links below. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everyone.